Hello and welcome, dear friends, to Daily English Podcast, where words warm your heart, stories stir your soul, and simple English becomes a doorway to something deeper. In today's very special episode, we're not just telling stories, we're sharing soft miracles. These are the kind of stories that don't scream for attention. They whisper, they breathe, and they stay with you long after the last word. These 6 tales come from kitchens and libraries, lonely streets and blooming gardens. They are about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, not for fame, but for love, for healing, and for quiet joy. So wherever you are, walking, driving, folding laundry, or simply resting, let this be your moment. Breathe in, slow down, and step into this gentle world we've created. Just for you. The sleepy painter Lena was a quiet woman with a loud imagination. During the day, she worked at a small bakery, shaping bread with her hands and smiling at the customers who came in every morning. But when she walked home in the evenings, her heart beat with a secret rhythm. Her real dream waited for her in the silence of her room, where paintbrushes rested, colors waited, and blank canvases leaned against the wall like sleeping friends. There was just one small problem. Lena could only paint well in a very special moment, the dreamy, floating space between sleep and waking. If she caught it just right, ideas would rush into her mind like sunlight spilling through a window. But if she missed it, her mind would feel stiff and cold, like clay that had been left out too long. She tried everything to make that moment come. She set alarms in the middle of the night. She drank tea to relax. She even played the sound of rain and thunder to trick her body into dreaming. But it didn't work. Some nights, she fell asleep too fast. Other nights, she didn't sleep at all. Her mind stayed noisy with bakery orders and forgotten chores. Then one evening, after a long day of frosting cakes and sweeping crumbs, Lena changed everything. She skipped dinner, walked into her room, and lay down with a soft whisper. Just a nap. She set a timer for 30 minutes. When the alarm buzzed, she opened her eyes slowly. The room was filled with soft twilight. Her thoughts felt light, like feathers. And then, she saw it. A dream that had not yet disappeared. A girl, in a red coat, standing in a golden field. She reached for her brush. That night, the painting seemed to paint itself. The colors poured out like music. The girl's red coat blazed against the gold. It was soft. It was bold. It was beautiful. And something inside Lena whispered, "This is it." She tried again the next day. Another nap. Another dream. Another painting. Within a week, people began to notice. Her online art page, something she had almost forgotten about, started filling with kind comments. So dreamy. Like something from the edge of sleep. A local cafe sent her a message. "Would you like to show your work here?" Lena stared at the message for a long time. Then she said yes, with her heart pounding. And soon, everyone knew her as the sleepy painter. She still worked at the bakery. She still kneaded dough and smiled at customers. But in the evenings, her real work began. In her dreams, in her paints, and in her quiet joy. Her paintings grew softer, stranger, more magical, more her. One night during a nap, Lena saw a boy with a paper boat in a forest of blue trees. She painted it. And that painting sold to someone in another country. A man who wrote her a letter saying the painting reminded him of his childhood, of walking alone in the woods near his grandfather's home. That letter made Lena cry. Another night, she dreamed of a garden floating in the sky. She painted giant roses blooming through the clouds, and the painting was chosen for a children's book cover. Bit by bit, Lena's dream world became a bridge between people. People who felt lost. People who were healing. People who needed softness in a loud, hard world. But after her first gallery show, after the lights, the photos, the praise, Something changed. She came home. She lay down. She set the timer. And nothing came. No dream. No image. Just stillness. She tried again. And again. And again. The blank canvas remained blank. The dreams had disappeared. That night, Lena sat by her window. She looked at the stars. She let the silence wrap around her. Her heart was full. Full of kind words from strangers. Full of soft smiles from people who had seen her paintings and felt something move inside them. And maybe, she thought, maybe that's why the dreams had stopped. Because she no longer needed to chase them. She was already living them. And that was enough. The night runner Ray was a taxi driver by day and a poet by night. But not just any poet. He didn't write in cafes or cozy libraries. Ray ran. Every night, after dropping off his last passenger, he parked the cab, tied his shoes, and ran through the sleeping city streets. No phone, no music, just his breath and the rhythm of his feet. And that's when the words would come. Lines, rhymes, whole poems. He didn't carry a notebook. He didn't stop. He whispered them out loud as he ran, over and over until they stuck in his memory like a melody. By the time he got home, sweaty and smiling, he would collapse on his couch and write them down. His tiny apartment was filled with paper scraps, receipts, and napkins covered in running poems. His favorite? The streetlights don't judge me. The moon doesn't mind. Only the wind knows the weight I carry behind. Ray didn't run to escape. He ran to remember. One day, a customer in his cab noticed the poetry taped to the dashboard. "Did you write this?" she asked. "Yeah," Ray said shyly. She smiled. "You should share them." That night, Ray posted one poem online, just one. The next morning, his phone buzzed nonstop. Beautiful. "You wrote what I feel, but can't say. This saved my night." Ray kept posting. Soon, publishers reached out. A local bookstore asked him to speak. He laughed. "Me? Speak?" But he said yes. At the bookstore, he wore his running shoes. He stood up, read aloud, hands shaking, voice soft. And when he finished, there was silence, then applause. And Ray, the quiet taxi driver who ran through darkness, finally saw himself in the light. The whispering woodworker Mira worked in a furniture store, helping customers choose chairs and tables. But in her heart, she loved to build things with her hands. Not just functional furniture, but pieces that told stories. At night, she would enter her small garage, turn on a single warm light, and begin to carve. Not fast, not perfect, just slowly, lovingly. She carved birds into bedposts, waves into headboards, stars into old coffee tables. At first, no one noticed, but she kept carving. One afternoon, a young couple came into the store. They wanted a special crib for their first baby. "Something that feels like a dream," they said. Mira smiled. "I might have something." She brought them into her garage, showed them a tiny crib carved with moons and clouds. The couple cried. Word spread. Mira left the store and opened her own tiny workshop. Now, her pieces travel across the world. But each one begins in silence, in that little garage, where her hands still listen to wood and whisper back. She calls her shop, Whispered Hands. The window singer Amal was a shy teenager who loved to sing, but only when no one was around. Every evening she would open her bedroom window and softly sing to the night, the trees, the sky, the silence. One night, she sang a song she wrote herself, about loneliness, about hope, about wanting to be seen. She didn't know that a boy, in the building across the street, was listening. Every night, he was a musician who had lost his voice, his confidence, his joy. Her songs made him feel again. One evening, he played a soft guitar melody in response. She heard it, smiled, and sang louder. Soon they were performing a silent duet, one voice, one guitar, across the windows of their rooms. A few weeks later, he left a note at her door. "Would you sing this with me on stage?" She said yes. Now, they perform at small cafes, community events, and even open mics. Her voice shakes, his hands tremble, but together they shine. She still sings at her window too. For the night. For herself. Because that's where it all began. The memory gardener Noor was 63 years old when she planted her first garden. Not for vegetables. Not for flowers. Noor's garden was made of memory. After losing her husband and watching her children grow up and move far away, the house felt silent. She tried television, books, walks, but the quiet followed her. Then one day, barefoot in her backyard, the sunlight on her shoulders, she felt a memory bloom. Her husband laughing, her children playing, her younger self dancing in the kitchen, the eye. Next day, she bought seeds, lavender for her wedding, mint for her mother's tea, sunflowers for her son's joy. She whispered stories to each seed as she planted them. "You are for the Tuesday we danced in the kitchen." The garden grew wild and colorful. Neighbors stopped to smell it. Children wandered through it. Noor began sharing the stories behind each plant. "This rose bush? That's for the day I forgave myself." They called it the memory garden, and in growing it, Noor grew too. The letter librarian, Jonas, was a quiet man. For 30 years he worked in the town library, dusting shelves and stamping books. To most, he was invisible. But Jonas had a secret. Whenever someone checked out a book, especially someone who looked tired or sad, he'd slip a note inside. "You are more loved than you know. Don't give up. Your story is still being written." He signed each note, from a friend at the library. Soon people returned not just for books, but for comfort. They left notes, flowers, thank you drawings. One day, Jonas arrived to find a handmade sign on the door, "The Library of Letters and Light." Inside was a box filled with letters, from readers, from strangers, from hearts he had quietly helped heal. And for the first time in years, Jonas wept. Because he realized, a single kind word can light a dark day. You don't have to write a novel to change a life. Sometimes a small letter in the right hands is enough. Podcast closing. And now, as we close this long and gentle episode, let's hold this truth in our hearts. Quiet efforts matter. Kind words heal. Your art, in any form, is a gift to this world. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You only need belief in your kindness, in your story, in your quiet dream. If these stories touched you, share them with someone who needs light. Leave a comment, subscribe, or simply smile at the next person you see. Until next time, stay soft, stay steady, and keep creating quiet beauty in your life.